When you're reading an article and you're reading the numbers, here's what I want you to know. Just because an article claims that a certain percentage occurred or a certain percentage exists doesn't mean that that's the full picture. And I'll give you an example. So say an article covers all these articles, by the way, they use when they start to crunch numbers and tell you things like, 20% of this or 50% of that, they had to have captured a file to get that calculation. Okay. I'm speaking of a scientific article, by the way. It's a scientific article, or even an article that goes over percentages in general. They had to have some sort of access or source for what they're saying. Okay. So suppose you have a situation where an article says 20%. Now I'm making this up now. 20% of classroom A passed the course. Okay, 20% of classroom A passed the course. Now, of course, an article's not going to talk about a particular classroom. It's this is just an example. And suppose that later on you read an article that speaks about that same classroom, and it says people who attended the program for that particular um, course, 90% of them passed the course. Now, here's the thing. So you have 20% passed a course, then you have 90% of the program for that particular course passed across the board. Now, how could those two percentages exist? You have to think about the denominator. The denominator changed. So the first time with the 20%, you're talking about that particular subset of people within the program, right? The second time you're talking about everybody in the program out of everybody in the program. So the difference here is the second one, the second statistics that I shared with you was a larger group of people. And when you're reading these articles, you have to keep this in mind that you have to think about what are they basing this out of? Out of what? Lovely Thursday.